on your sheet with the pictures on it, all the little pictures, the first picture on the front side, the side that says some of the instruments, is almost all these pictures are from Michael Pretorius' Syntagma Musicum, his incredible encyclopedia of all musical knowledge published in the 16 teens. And the second of the 3 volumes of that work, Syntagma Musicum, was called De Organographia, about instruments. And it includes a priceless collection of some 40 woodblock prints of the instruments known in Pretorius' day. And it's an amazing moment in music history caught in amber, because this is the 16 teens. The Renaissance peak is really past, and we're moving toward the Baroque era in which instruments get polarized into treble instruments and bass, and moving away from the Renaissance idea of a consort of equal instruments spanning all the pitches. But so it's kind of like a high watermark in Pretorius' day, where all the Renaissance instruments were still around, and yet the new upcoming Baroque instruments were around as well. So it's the biggest variety probably ever in the history of Western music. This first picture here is one of those prints, and it's a picture of the recorder family. And you see that there's quite a number of them. We played the smallest size here, moving down toward the outside of the page, toward the biggest ones. But we didn't play the 2 biggest ones because we don't have them. So the biggest recorders that are extant are 9 feet tall. There's one of them in the Nuremberg Instrument Museum. The biggest one we played just now was the great bass recorder, which is 4.5 feet tall. The next size is a contrabass recorder, which is 6 feet tall, and the biggest size that we've ever found is the sub-contrabass, what we call it that, which is 9 feet tall. You have to sit like on a big bar stool to play it. And it's really, really long vocal to reach down to your mouth. But if you want to see and hear what a real 6-foot tall instrument is like, when you go home, just Google "student builds contrabass recorder," and you will find an article with video and audio clips of a student from the William and Mary Early Music Ensemble who used his summer research grant to build from scratch a working contrabass recorder. And there's pictures of it doesn't work anymore, but it did work at the time. We didn't bring it along because it's not working now. But if you want to see what it looks like and actually hear it in action with all these other recorders that we just played, just write that phrase down when you go home. Student builds contrabass recorder. There's only one thing in all of the internet that corresponds to those 4 words. It's like a Google note, except it's a Google one. Okay, and now we'll move from the recorder to some other flute family instruments.
May I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Could you tell us, all those instruments you just played, do they have the same fingering?
They do.
I see.
When you put all fingers down, you either get an F or you get a C. And there are other instruments like them where all fingers down is a G or a D. But once you've established what your tonic is, or whatever the home note, then the fingering stays pretty much the same from instrument to instrument. Okay. You just have to change your head, not your fingers.
And for the uninitiated, what exactly is a stop, and what does it physically do to the organ?
Oh, well, that I will turn over to my esteemed organist colleague, Tom Marshall.
Whatever device turns the stops on and off, these are electric over here, but the action of the keys is mechanical. Every stop that's pulled or pressed, or however you turn that on, represents one full row of pipes. And it represents then one pipe per note on the keyboard. So you can multiply the number of stops on this organ that it has. You can count those little black buttons on the sides over there, times the number of keys on the keyboard, and you get approximately the number of pipes that are in the organ then. But I assume this follow the 61 notes in this organ, 58 notes, times however many stops there are, is basically an approach to what you have for the number of pipes that it takes to make this organ complete. This is a very large instrument. Very wonderful instrument, too. You won't hear it too much tonight. I'm just using some of the sounds in it to demonstrate and match and see what stops we know. It was a revelation to me to hear one of the stops and realize that I never heard that before in an organ at all when you hear the real instrument. So that's really the purpose of coming here tonight and showing you all what the real things sounded like.
I've got a quick question. I'm a banjo teacher, so bear with me. You might have to repeat yourself. But anyway, all these instruments are tuned to equal temperament?
Yes and no.
Yes and no, okay.
In period, they would have been mean tone or similar temperaments. It's determined by the builder.
Okay.
And the actual pitch standard, whether it's an A440 or 415 or 466, is again based on the period in which the instrument was built. Most of the instruments we have here are in fact at modern pitch. A is 440 hertz above middle C. And fingerings are more or less equal with some mean tone inflections depending. And honestly, you would aim in playing them to wiggle the pitch to just intonation so that your thirds and fifths are pure. That's what every instrumentalist strives for.
Thank you.
So I mentioned that until the first half of the 18th century, when you said flute in any European language, what you meant was the recorder. If you wanted to say what we call the flute, you would have some kind of adjective to it. The German flute, it was called in some countries. But anyway, so to give you an example of what the flute was like in Renaissance times, first of all, one piece, made of wood, no keys. By the time of Bach, Handel, Telemann, Vivaldi, they were writing for a multi-sectioned flute that had one key only. This is an older Renaissance-style flute. Now, if any of you actually are flutists, I crave your forgiveness for what I'm about to do, because I don't really play flute. But I'm just going to try to give you some tiny, sort of through a glass, darkly veiled impression of what a flute sounds like. And these flutes, too,
All right.
not throwing rocks, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Another one of the pictures on your sheet. Oh yeah, on the same block as the pictures of the recorders. On the right-hand side, you'll see the picture of the flute family. And like the recorders, the flutes came in all the different sizes. The general consort was one treble, two tenors. The tenor is the size I just attempted to play, and then the bass, which is long enough that it came in two pieces. But still, no keys, and just an absolutely straight channel of sound. So if any of you are flutists, please come up afterwards and show us how beautiful this is.
So both sides are open?
No, there's a plug.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Now, next in the flute family is an instrument that is possibly the most unusual one that we're bringing. Recorders made out of the horns of oxen. And these were called
Would you turn this way? Do it again. Here we go.
Toyota ho!
I better stop laughing.
Okay, well, since he said that, then I have to. So this kind of instrument was called the Gemshorn, and as it says on there, Gems was the name of the instrument that or the animal that we now call the chamois, so an alpine goat. And so we're going to just give you a little idea of what recorders made out of the horns of oxen sound like.
Make sure you stop when we looking first.